Call the Custer County Board of County Commissioners meeting to order. Let the record show today is September 28th. It is 9:00 a.m. Mrs. Camper, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I would do that.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good job.
Thank
You know what I'm talking about. Good morning. Madam Secretary, would you conduct a roll call, please?
Commissioner Flower.
Present.
Commissioner Candace.
Here.
Commissioner Prince.
Here.
Attorney Clint Smith.
Present.
And Clerk to the Board Kelly Camper present.
Thank you, ma'am. Amendments to the agenda, gentlemen.
I have two items I'd like to discuss, and I'm not sure if it's going to be amendments to the agenda or it may be under unfinished business. We were notified by the DA's office they're trying to get their act together for their budgeting, and they wanted to know what our thoughts were about their proposed budget. You may have gotten a copy of that. So I think I'd like to just ask that. And we also had a letter from the Rotary Club asking to do some painting. I thought maybe we ought to discuss that.
Good idea.
Okay, let's do those under commissioner items, if you would, don't mind, sir.
No problem.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Candace?
Also, we got a letter which the public ought to know about. That was CenturyLink following through on the discussions we had.
Okay, let's do
We ought
that.
to just bring that up.
Same thing, commissioner items. I'd like to stay away from adding to the agenda if we possibly can, to stay under the sunshine laws. So I think that doing those under commissioner items would be appropriate.
Yes, just
Good, thank you. Any other agenda amendments?
I don't have
Okay,
anything else.
good. We'll move on then to the approval of the September 19th BOCC minutes. Chair would entertain a motion for approval.
Also move that we approve the September 19th.
I'll second it and review them real quick.
Okay, all right. Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of BOCC minutes for September 19th. Discussion.
Did you see
At
anything?
least they're not
that I
real
missed?
lengthy.
Yeah, these are pretty
If I
short.
could just add one thing. It's down there that I moved that we accepted the sheriff's contract. And it doesn't say that I made a comment that I was concerned about potential conflict of interest, but since there wasn't a controversy, I don't know if that needs to be reflected in the minutes or
Okay.
not, but it's on the record, so I guess it's okay.
Yeah, let me find that statement real quick if you don't mind, sir.
Second page.
Did we? Oh, okay, all right, good. Yeah, the motion was to approve it, and then we had an applied motion to postpone that. So, yeah, I'm back in context.
I don't know if really, I mean, it's on the record. And that's all I really care about. I just, I worry about that a lot.
It's your choice. I mean, it's
think
on the video record, or I mean the audio record. This really is the official record of the meeting, so if you feel that it needs to be in the minutes, that's where it needs to go, technically, so.
Clint, can I ask your opinion? Do you think it needs to be in here?
I don't think it's necessary to do that. If it ever comes up as an issue, we'll all deny that you ever said that.
Well,
That's your old buddy over there.
That's on the record.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds great.
The other thing is
I won't worry about it.
when we bring that back to the table, if you want to reiterate that, then it would be.
I'll reiterate.
Yeah, it's
Well,
postponed anyway.
I'm
that's
still
what
going to
I
vote because it's not a controversy. There's not even the slightest hint of impropriety, but I just think it's important for the record and the public to
people
know that
yeah.
I was involved in that contract for them and here, so
Yeah.
I just think that's an important.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can put that in
And-
today's minutes.
And I usually
Yeah, thank
do
you.
put that in there, but I think I left it out because you didn't
got
approve the,
postponed.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm fine.
And
Thank you.
so,
So it's a new motion
Yeah.
afterwards.
I'm just a
You can
little
restate
touchy
it.
on that, as you can imagine.
Yeah, and Attorney Smith, this is the official record. The minutes are the official record, not the audio, correct?
Right.
So I would think at some point, when you say, well, we have it on record, we do, but I'm not comfortable with being on a permanent record like it would be if it's in the minutes.
I
So.
think Kelly's exactly right, since it wasn't voted on at the time, let's
No,
wait
no
till it gets
critical,
voted on
yeah.
and I'll just read it.
Yeah, had we voted on it, I'd say, yeah, let's correct those minutes.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, further discussion?
And concise is good, Kelly.
Okay, hearing none, we'll
Short is
proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay, motion carried. Minutes for September 19th have been approved. Audience introductions.
Angie Arterburn, Westcliff.
Morning.
Jackie Bubas from the Sentinel.
Dallas Anderson, Airport Board.
Thank you, welcome, glad to have you guys here. Commissioner items, Commissioner Prince, give you a minute to get your breath
Yeah,
caught
gotta
up.
get caught up.
You know, I didn't make a list of the things I did, so if it's acceptable, I'll just say I went to as many meetings as I could that I felt were important and tried to learn what's going on. I did go to the Fair Board Committee,
Yes.
which I thought was an excellent meeting,
Good.
something I hadn't done before. Been to the Tourism Board meetings and several others. I just kept busy.
Good, thank you. Since our last BOCC meeting that was in Wetmore, that evening I attended the Valley Strong Community Dinner. The 20th, I attended the Airport Board meeting. September 24th, Fair Board meeting that Commissioner Prince spoke of. September the 25th, we had a weed board meeting in the Commissioner's room. I sat in on that. And on the 27th, I participated in the interview process for the filling of the ag teacher position at the Custer County High School. So those are the meetings in a nutshell that I've been attending. Commissioner Kanda.
Yeah, it was great. Thanks for the help on the meeting last meeting we had a
No,
week ago.
no problem. Yeah,
Too
did
bad
not.
everybody had a hard time hearing.
Yeah,
I
did
know
not go well, so
we're resolving
Gonna
that
buy
with a
that.
new system, I hope.
already been purchased. Waiting for
I'll
it to
just speak
receive.
to that
Yep,
on your end.
okay,
Okay,
good.
that'll be good because that is going to happen up once in a while with all of us and other speakers as well.
Sure.
So that was good, and I appreciate that. I thought we got a lot done last week. And then what I followed up on were two things which I had more time to do where I was, and that's the contract, both contracts that we approved already, and the strategic plan with Cheryl Trent. And we will follow up later. We're working just so, from what we stated before, from here until Christmas, we've got time to work the survey, resubmit that, publicize that better to get better turnout and figure out a way of doing that. We can discuss that in another meeting coming up, as well as committee members for the steering committee. And then those had all been pre-selected before, and we don't know how that happened, but it did, and we're going to fix that. I did send the copies out to you all. You ought to have a current copy of the actual timeline and current contract.
Yeah.
Looks good. And she's very, I'll tell you, very well, works with it very well. She's adaptable and willing to do things and a great facilitator. The airport press down the road, and I mentioned last time that we do have, we reworked that task order, got the price down on the staking. OT6 has already been notified on the change and have asked them for the money for both funding for both the staking and the testing that we did previously that hadn't been paid for yet. So that should be in, and I think Virginia, it gets that via the mail or funds transfer. I can't remember how Donna's got it set up. it goes directly to the airport fund. And so we'll be paying that out, and then the only thing that remains nothing on the task order really, it's just timing on when we're gonna start, and this is gonna be after the Hermit Bridge is put in. And we did slip that another week, which is fine. And I think it's working out for the best for the Hermit Bridge project as well as the airport.
And the arts hullabaloo.
Yeah,
That's who asked for it.
yeah,
Yes,
right,
it worked out great.
everybody has a
It was a
win-win
win-win.
for everybody, and Gary as well. So we'll be working, getting the scraper lined up, and it's a better time of the year to pick it up anyway, to do the berm removal. Let's see what else I have on that. Along that line, I am setting up a meeting. I'll be going with Chris Anderson, the Armstrong engineering guy. We've already sent a note to the Department of Transportation Aviation branch. The gal that runs that, and I don't have the copy of the email in front of me, is available on the 5th and 6th of November. I selected the 5th, that's the Monday, to go up and she's already working. They're having a meeting on the grant process overarching. It has nothing to do with this specific airport on the end of October. Once that's done, they're rolling out their new process on how to apply, what their length of time are, and all that kind of thing. So we're going to meet with her separately to get an understanding of what their process is going to be, so we can bring it back, and the process starts from there through the end of the year to apply for the grants to fund different projects like the fuel system out there, the airport paving, overlay, as well as the current construction that OT6 is paying for, to try to get additional funding for that to help lighten the burden on OT6, and they're excited about our effort to work on that. So I'll let you know.
Who's gonna meet with her?
Me and Chris Armstrong, and we can invite anybody to come that we would like to come as well. Might want to take up maybe Brenda as an example, and one of you guys or both, doesn't matter. So I'll let you know timing on that as soon as we get it.
Good.
And then what else was there? The dust abatement for the Alpine citizens that were concerned about that. I've got the minutes, and I've got I'd like to thank Donna for pulling together the PILT process so that they'll understand the kind of money that isn't available from the Forest Service.
It's a big issue, but
Right, but we can't agree to anything until we approve the budget. Okay, that's great.
I think you had one other.
I did. The Rotary Club has asked about painting the fairgrounds fence in the front. I started to write back and then I didn't send back because I thought maybe it's not really my place to make this decision, but I was feeling it's appropriate for the fairground board and maybe the Rotary people, not the Rotary people, the rodeo people, to discuss what it is you're gonna do and how you're gonna do it, and what you're gonna put up there. I don't think it's
You didn't bring it up
appropriate
then,
for the Rotary Club on its own just to go out there and start slapping paint on someone else's facility.
Right.
So if it's acceptable, I think one of us ought to write back to Rotary and say, we really appreciate what you're offering. Please get concurrence by the organization.
Yeah, we don't have a problem if that's the case.
I think it's a community
pretty
project, and
nice.
I think it's
Good
wonderful. I
idea,
just don't want it to do it.
Somebody else's money.
Yeah.
Well, apparently we're functioning fairly well, because I reached out to the Rotary Club and said,
Oh, good.
Actually, I reached out to the Fair Board president and
Good.
said, I would ask that you get with the Rotary.
That's all.
And I reached out to Rotary and said, expect contact from the
Perfect.
Fair Board. Because I felt the same way. It's not up to us to be telling somebody to do something on someone else's
Right.
property.
But-
So,
But in retrospect, I appreciate the Rotary doing a community service, no cost to anybody, they're just taking it on as a project. I just think we need to do it properly.
yeah.
Well, it's
You
legit for them to ask us.
Understand the context of this
Perfect.
It
community
works
service
that way.
project, right? I mean, they're
Correct.
doing that because of the Conservation Trust Fund dollars they received in 2018.
Absolutely,
So,
They haven't received them yet.
well, they haven't received them yet, but
we will.
budgeted dollars. So, yeah, they're scrambling to try to do their commitment level to honor the Conservation Trust Fund.
So,
Uh,
It sounded like it was handled just the way I was
Yeah,
I think it ought to be handled, so I think we're good.
yeah.
I'm done, I'm sorry to.
No, that's fine.
I forgot we moved
Yep.
this back up to Commissioner.
No,
That kind of
no
reminds me,
problem.
didn't, Tom, remember the meeting we were at where they, I can't remember the name of the organization, but they were wanting to increase the grant amount that Rotary had for their bus. Asked for a bunch of dollars and a little bit that they asked for.
Remember that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Who's doing anything about that?
Well, it would come through Conservation Trust Fund budget request, which we
Right.
got, but we'll just have
It's
to
exactly the same as last year.
deal with that.
They wanted to bump it by $1 million. That was the suggestion.
That's not us.
I know, I just wonder how they get the word to them.
Good luck.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right,
I have another item. See if I can get my hand laid on it. I don't know, gentlemen, if you had an opportunity, and I know it's on the agenda later on, to have a discussion about the S brand logo and branding, and then also the review and signing of the S brand contract. But what we don't have, and that's why I'm bringing it up, this strategic plan and economic development strategic plan grant, ready grant, was $33,500. 29,000 of that which was paid by a grant.
29.5,
That-
that's what the contract.
Yeah, that survey's already been published. I looked at it, I printed it off, I thought I had it.
That's the
laying
survey
around.
we talked about.
Yeah, so, I guess I've got a question about, and maybe you can answer this, because I'm assuming you've had a conversation with her. Was that survey pulled down?
Yes.
Was it,
And I asked her for a hard copy because we're gonna fix it,
Right.
meaning we're gonna edit it.
right,
And so we'll get that hard copy so we can decide
I've
when
got
to get
it,
it.
I printed it out.
I got one that we can use for soft copy, you know, to be able to.
Yeah, and did I send you guys the link to that?
Yes,
Survey,
or I got it.
Monkey survey.
monkey,
I asked her to send she was offering to send a link too, and I told her I don't want the link, I want the
Yeah.
soft copy so that we can use it.
I just think we have county dollars invested in this, and I think it's incumbent upon us to look at that survey, review it, make whatever changes, and then try to repost it. I have no idea what their response to that survey was. I don't really know how long it was even posted before she
Not
pulled
very
it
long.
back down,
She said she
probably a
got
week.
like 10 people did it already. But that doesn't matter. It's republished and we're gonna resubmit it with a different kind of public announcement to get people involved differently. That's something we're gonna have to
Right.
decide.
Okay. Yeah, so I will, if nothing else, put a hard copy of that in your mailboxes so that
Okay.
we can see what was done originally, and then,
Yeah, and I'll send the soft copy as soon as she gets it to me.
anything else, young man? Attorney items.
Just a few things. A few weeks ago, our treasurer asked me to look into a couple of things. The sheriff's posse fund and the extension monies were not going through the treasurer's office. Shannon, that's all taken care of as far as the sheriff's office goes. All the posse fund money is now gonna go through the treasurer's office. I was at the recommendation of Sam DiNardo. I still haven't gotten an answer back from the CSU Extension Service. And I'm not actually sure what money our extension office takes in, frankly. And I asked Virginia for that, I haven't gotten that back yet, but I'm still working on that part to find out if that money should all go through our treasurer's office. JD asked me, he got a subpoena to appear in court on a small claims court to bring some documents. There's a couple of property owners that are having a squabble, and it's not really he's not the custodian of the records. They want him to bring a plat of a subdivision. That really should go to Kelly. She's the custodian of those. But the other part was they were going to ask JD for a legal opinion on what it said on the plat, and that's not JD's position to do that. So I told him, and I went over and talked to Kay at the court and gave her a heads up on it, that the judge probably, I don't think small claims even has jurisdiction over something like this, frankly, but I just talked to Kay about it, so I'm handling that for JD.
They wanted to subpoena me too and come in and tell them that that plat was correct, and I told them I wasn't gonna do that.
All you can
I
do
said,
is
you
say
can
it's,
subpoena me, but I'm not gonna say it's correct, cause I don't know, I'm not
all you
last
could
survey.
say is that it's the document, it's on
That was
file, it's an
recorded.
official record. But- So you'll go instead of JD then?
No,
All right. Well, I don't know if JD, I think the court date is October 18th or something like that. I'm not sure when JD's gonna be back, but I'll work with him on that. Other one, our individual who was the subject matter of our executive session a while back is still going crazy with emails and still threatening that he's gonna do all kinds of things, but he hasn't done anything yet, so I'm still waiting to see what's going to happen there, if anything. And then finally, on our class action suit that we joined in on for the PILT funds, the law firm that's handling this, I guess there's been a settlement. Now they're asking for approval of their attorney's fees, which are going to total $5,740,582. None of which we have
Do we
to pay.
take that out of capital improvement or what?
I think you take it out of the county attorney's budget, actually.
Okay.
No, that's paid out. So it's just going on in court. I was taking a look out of, what do we have, 64 counties in Colorado, I think, and I counted up 47 of them have participated. Some of the ones, especially our eastern counties, just don't get any PILT funds at all, but, and I was looking through, just out of curiosity, some of the other states. All the western states are on board, of course, and the only state I could find that didn't ask for anything was Rhode Island. Delaware had 2 counties that jumped in. Connecticut had 3 townships, I guess, which are the equivalent of counties back there, but a lot of those eastern states don't have a whole lot of PILT funds either. So that's moving on, and I'm sure if sometime down the road we'll get our whopping amount less the attorney's fees.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, all right, sir, thank you, appreciate it. Administrative assistant items.
Yeah, I ordered, a conference phone, which has 4 wireless, microphones that you can set around a room if it's a big room and people can hear and speak and be heard from around the room. The issue I ran into is, you can either get an analog conference phone or a digital conference phone. You can't get one that does both. So I went ahead and I got the analog conference phone, which will work like in Wetmore or wherever, but it won't work here. So I did some research and I found a little connector that converts digital to analog. So we should be able, hopefully, to hook that up to this phone and it'll work in here too. So
How much was it, if you don't mind?
the conference phone was like $260 and the little adapter is $100, so about $360 total.
You sure that'll fix the problem?
No, but well, if it
doesn't.
doesn't, we'll just return them.
Is that one of those phones that kind of a triangular, I see, we use those in Westcliff, I know they have it in
Work pretty
Silvercliff
well.
also. They work excellent, hopefully this one will too.
Yeah,
Well, we can give it a shot.
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I think the confidence level of it working in Wetmore is pretty high.
Pretty high, yeah.
Here,
I've read all the reviews and everything, and I think for most people, if they use it the way it's intended to be used, it works just fine. Some people were trying to use it in a way that it wasn't intended, and of course it didn't work for them, so. But yeah, I think it'll work.
good. Anything else?
That's it.
All right, thank you. Public comment?
Yes.
Yes.
Just thought of something.
Okay.
The other day, I noticed that Valley has gotten a really nice new 11 or 12 passenger bus. And I was wondering, are they still using that van that was lent to them by the commission? The one that used to be out at the airport.
Good question. I have no knowledge of any of that.
That was agreed on a couple of, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. We had this vehicle that wasn't being used there, so they were letting Valley use it. I didn't know they'd gotten a new vehicle, but we should
It was
look.
pretty too.
Well, good. Maybe we'll take that one back and they can just keep the old van. We'll just sign it over to them.
Yeah.
But,
We'll take the new and then
Yeah.
keep the one we gave them.
There you go.
but we probably should get that vehicle back. It is county property.
Would you like me to pursue that, gentlemen?
Sure.
Unless they still have some use for it.
Yeah. Well, at least we can have a conversation.
I was unaware of that.
Yeah.
The airport board, if they could get it back, has an idea or two about using that.
Okay. Good. Well, I'll follow up on that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Other public comment? Hearing none, we'll move on. Unfinished business. Gentlemen, anything?
So during the S-brand conversation, we'll talk some more about the how we're going to blend that in with the current strategic planning process. Is that what you want to do? Is that the
Yeah.
plan?
Yeah, I think so.
So I want to try to execute that contract
Yeah.
with her to get her. You know, it shouldn't change anything on that contract. It's just a matter of what we're massaging into the content.
Okay. Yeah, I think we can have that discussion then. We'll move on to new business. Public comment will be allowed on any new business item that's an action item that the commissioners will vote on. Review of the vouchers. Gentlemen, have you had an opportunity to go through those?
Not as well as I would like to. I mean, there's so many of them, but I did kind of go through. I didn't see any anomalies here. I agree with you. Autopsy services, $7,000 jumped out at me.
She sent them to her.
But it's just the fact of living and dying, I guess.
Yeah, it's been a
I can actually answer that.
relatively active year.
And that's what a lot of the cases Art's had have to have not more than normal. I said almost every one of them.
Any unattended death,
Mm-hmm.
car accident,
Yeah.
finding
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah, I was able to look at this one. You know, I should have done it. I had a copy. It looked nominal to me. Looked good.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think families can request an autopsy too, at the county's expense, so.
Is it really? I didn't know. I
My
thought they had to pay
understanding.
for themselves, but okay.
Yeah, we've talked about this once before, and I hope I'll put it on the agenda on my notes to talk to Gary Hyde with Road and Bridge about our cylinder rental. Man, just $5,432. I thought we said we had 28 or 29 gas bottles in the county's system that we are renting. I still think we need to look at trying to purchase those outright. I'll bet you our
Well, they're
purchase-
expensive, Tom. I looked into that there.
Yeah, I mean,
I bought one for the house too.
yeah, long-term rentals, I know I did a 20-year thing on mine, and
Yeah, $20 a month's pretty easy to do, but when you got 1,000 of them, it's
yeah, so I don't know, I just wanna have that conversation again with Gary and see if we can't get a long-term rental. Maybe that is the long-term rental, I don't know, but I just,
But I saw somewhere it was like a 5 year.
yeah, and they've got a like 20-year deal that's
yeah. I don't know why it's 5 years. That's a good
crazy
question.
cheap, so, I don't know. But I'll follow up with that maybe during the staff report with Road and Bridge. Other than that, I didn't have a problem. Chair would entertain a motion to approve.
I move we approve them.
I'll second that. It's been moved and seconded to approve the vouchers for September 2018. For discussion, public comment. Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Vouchers have been approved. If we could initial those. So, you okay with moving on? Yep. Transfer of funds from capital improvement to the airport. Mr. Anderson, you have the floor, sir. Welcome.
Thank you. I'll start over here.
Tip of the wing to you, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Okay. Kelly, did you get the paperwork for this transfer?
No, I do it afterwards, after it's been approved.
Okay. The reason I'm asking for this transfer is to put the airport fund back into the black. As it stands, March 30th, the airport fund will be $602.02 in the red.
March 30th of
2019.
Okay.
The expenditure for the card reader is what did it to it. We've worked for 5 years on this budget to try to bring the airport fund into a position where we would be ready for unforeseen requirements of repairs, such as if we had to pull the well pump, replace or repair that. If the boiler quit. The boiler is at awfully close to its end of serviceable life. It's over 30 years old.
Hey, take time out downstairs. Hey, Brenda,
Yes.
would you ask Donna to come in here to listen to this?
Well,
Sure.
Because I want to ask her some questions after he's gone.
Okay. The figures that I am quoting to you are calculated by me based on the airport fund balance on the 24th of September. The expenses that I know that we're paying out this month, and then the expenses that are upcoming. If I'm even within $20, we're going to be $600 in the red at the end of March.
okay.
And that's at the end of September, you mean? That's at the end of September, you'll be 600 in the red?
No, at the end of
The year,
March
End of March.
30, 2019.
I see.
In the first quarter.
The end of first quarter, yes.
So you started to give us a figure on September 24th.
September 24th, our balance was $18,267.01,
Okay.
and that's factual.
Okay. And you're requesting a transfer of 10,000?
$10,000 from the capital improvement fund under headed under airport.
Okay. And that's to cover what?
Well, that will cover the expenses against the airport fund to the end of the first quarter 2019.
Okay.
And
And you know what those expenses are going to be?
I know one of them,
Okay.
the
which would be-
D&O insurance policy, we'll have to pay it in December, and it's going to be at least $3,785. That's what it was for this last time. I suspect it'll be over $4,000.
Okay.
And our fourth quarter expenses, I extracted that from 2017, since we know what the fourth quarter expenses were there. It was $1,935, just short of $2,000. With this transfer, black for the airport fund. And without the transfer, we will be $602 calculated in the red.
That's what the fund shows currently, I understand. So how are we handling that, Don? I understand what Dallas wants, it's just making the books balance so he's got what he has visibility on, which I think we're booking.
Right.
Well,
And it is a transfer that Kelly fills out, and then you guys vote on it, and then once it goes through the treasurer, then I do actually book it to there from the other.
this 10,000, you're wanting to transfer that out of your capital improvement fund,
That was a budgeted item.
right? According to your budget was $10,000 for airport overlay.
That's
Correct.
what it was for,
So
yes.
that project goes away.
That project is,
Let me rephrase that, the funding,
Yeah,
the budgeted funding for that project then goes away.
that is correct.
and it's rolling up currently under the overlay for the remodel of the whole airport is what the point is.
Yeah, and before I
That's fine.
forget it, and I'm getting the cart before the horse here, as a member of the airport board, which is appointed by the commissioners, is it possible that I could request an executive session?
If it has to do with legal advice, personnel issues, yes.
Well, I think it has to do with legal advice.
Okay.
I'm sure of it.
I would recommend maybe having a conversation on the side with Commissioner or Counselor Smith to determine that. There really are three things we can go into executive session about, certainly those being the two most common, so.
I agree with that comment. I think my suggestion would be get with council. If council feels it needs to come before the DOCC, then I think it would be appropriate. I
Okay.
don't have a problem.
It's gotta meet that, whatever that criteria Clint will
Yeah,
determine.
because I'm seeing a violation of state law, and I need some
Yeah, I would,
Stop
I
right
would
information.
take that up with council. Maybe we go on break if you wanna have that conversation today or subsequent to this meeting.
Today is
Okay.
even too late.
Yeah, I would say we'll probably take a break here in a little bit if you
Yeah.
wanna stick around, so. Go ahead.
I don't mean to open this can of worms, but I guess my question would be, do you know insurance in general? Do most of our committees and groups and organizations purchase directors and officers insurance?
Is the airport is one that CTSI will not cover. No county pools will cover an airport because the fuel
That,
and
ma'am,
just everything.
that's all I
yeah.
needed to know.
Has
I was
it.
just wondering if it was
Yeah.
appropriate to have it or not. Now I understand.
Yeah, tourism,
Okay.
their DNO, that'll be covered
Okay,
within the
I'm good.
pool,
I just
not
was-
airport.
wanted to know how that worked. I have no issue.
Yeah, the airport's a special thing.
Okay.
Okay, do you wanna have that session before we, does that affect transferring this fund?
No.
Doesn't, does it? I don't see it.
What I want to find out is how it affects the future.
I guess I just want the airport board to understand that if we transfer this money out of your overlay project, then that funding's gone.
We understand that, yes, sir.
Whether that's rolled into something else or not later on, I mean, you come back and say, well, now we need X number of dollars to do the overlay project, probably not gonna, in my opinion, speaking personally, probably gonna be in a weak position, yes, ma'am.
Well, and there are different kinds of transfers that we need to realize. When the budget hearings happened and the board okayed a $15,000 transfer from the general fund to operations for the airport, that money was not allocated. It could be spent on whatever projects or shortfall that the airport had. The other was stated for the taxiway. And so you can absolutely transfer that to make up, their shortfall.
So there is two pools, is what you're
Yes, there
saying.
is,
basically.
and the first was identified as just an operations transfer, so that money could have been spent on anything, electric
So
bills.
we're not talking taking it out of the general fund? I know it's where it resides physically, but it's
Is,
designated.
Is that 15, which we've given them 10 to this point, and
I
there's
see.
another 5, is in the general fund transfer, but the other had been allocated
Right.
for a
Okay,
capital
so-
project, which some of the things could be a capital project, so I don't have a problem with that changing over, but
I see.
we are talking 2 pools where one was allocated and one was not, that it could be spent on anything.
But they're all under the airport budget.
No,
No.
Well, they're under their budget, but they're not
Yes.
been put into it.
right, only
That's
10,000
all
of the
that means.
15
Right.
of
It
the
was still
general
set
fund.
aside for the airport.
Yes,
Okay.
It was budgeted initially for the
Yes.
airport.
Right, okay.
Yeah, it's not.
Now,
taken
do
up.
you anticipate expending some of these dollars to pay for your QT pod fuel system? It's $8,745. That come out of this 10,000 or not? Has that already been paid for?
That QT pod was $12,309.
Total cost.
That's
Yes.
what was drawn out of our account.
Yeah.
And the
And
odd
Lot six reimbursed,
35, I think it was.
yeah, 3,500 of that, correct?
yes, and it went directly back into the airport fund. So the net price was 87.50.
8,745, yeah.
3,500.
Yeah, 12,245 is total cost including shipping.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, the money is earmarked for airport. It's just a different fund. We want to move it from one fund to another for the airport's benefit. The project that we anticipated was the overlay of the runway, which we're not going to do anyway at this point.
Right.
Okay. I'm not seeing a big issue here, to be honest with
There
you.
isn't.
Okay,
And there's no problem transferring. I mean, it's just a matter of
No,
bookkeeping.
it's just
for
a
you.
matter of the paperwork, the signatures, and then it goes through.
Just a way of putting it down so that it's clearly identified.
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
you can follow it as it is. He may show a negative $10,000, but there's 25,000 airport money sitting there still
Correct.
that an auditor can follow.
Yep,
if
that
he had to.
absolutely, the transfers show up on, in and out, whichever spots.
Sure.
I know your board is in the process of revising your capital improvement plan. The only capital improvement project for 2018 was the overlay. So I just wanted understood that we're getting ready to transfer money that was supposed to pay for that to pay for something else.
That's right.
Okay, as long as we're,
But we're not planning on doing both, so the money's there.
Well-
You can't do both.
Not out of that fund.
I suspect
What
eventually
the
the
plan
airport board will
is,
come back and they'll want to do the overlay.
they're gonna wanna do it, and in the meantime, so we're overlaying a lot of things out there, so we're gonna work that as a project as we go forward with the
Right.
remodel of the airport and the grants that will come in.
But I'll be the first one to remind the airport board that we've already taken $10,000 that was allocated for that and spent it on something else.
Mhm.
And as long as we're above board with that, because somewhere, I'm assuming a project's gonna be 10,000 short.
Maybe, it depends on the grants. It could be, and if we are, if the grants don't come in, then the taxiway doesn't get done.
Yeah, that's correct.
That's the way it is.
Well, I'll move that we approve the transfer of $10,000. Is it going into the operating fund? Is that where we go?
Into the airport fund.
Into the airport
From
fund?
capital improvement, right?
From capital improvements
From where was the
in the
airport?
airport.
That's fair enough. I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to transfer $10,000 into the airport fund. Further discussion? Public comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Done, sir.
Thank you.
You're entirely welcome.
Alice, can I ask you a question before you run? I saw that we have a letter of interest to join the board by Mr. Geipel.
Yes,
Is there, in the near future, will you be, the airport be making a recommendation to us?
probably so.
Okay.
Since I'm not the chairman, I'm the
Okay.
secretary treasurer.
Did he send the letter to everybody? I mean, the board
Uh,
knows, or not? Or did you
Brenda
send it to us?
sent me a forward on his,
Did you just send it to Dallas, or did you give it to
No, I
Lynn?
sent it to Bob.
Bob Jolly's got it? Okay, we're good.
Okay.
Stand
I
by.
just wanted to make sure we get back to Mr. Geipel and you guys have a chance to
right, yeah.
decide whether that's what you wanna do or not, and make the recommendation to us.
I can't speak for the
I
board.
understand.
I myself am in agreement with his appointment, so.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you, sir, appreciate it. Thank you for
Thank
coming
you
in.
too.
Can I have a few minutes
Yes,
to talk to him now?
yes, sir, you sure may.
If we said no, what would you do?
Are you okay?
He's on the lock, yeah.
Please go see him, will you?
Angie, are you okay for a 2-3 minute break?
Fine.
Okay.
Can I steal this?
Yes, with consent of the commissioners, we'll take a 3 minute
I
break.
would love that personally.
11 minutes. Call the Board of Commissioner meeting back to order. Let the record show that Attorney Smith is out of the room. I think we will move forward on our next item of business, a tourism board member approval. Mrs. Arterburn, welcome.
Hi.
How are you?
Just
I'm sorry,
fine.
Andy.
That's okay.
Good morning.
You got important things to do.
No, I don't. I was looking at the wrong thing.
Okay. Basically, I'm here before you the tourism board has approved on their behalf Marlis Hartbauer to be on board as a member of the tourism board. Previously, her husband had applied. He came to a meeting, decided it wasn't for him. I have been asking Marlis probably for a year and a half to be on, and she now feels she's ready. She's been to a few of the meetings. She knows what we're doing, and I feel that she'll be a definite asset. I think she's going to give us a different view on things, which we need. We need to be rounded, and that's where I'm at, is to seek your approval. We do still, just to let you know, have one more vacancy. We do have one letter of interest, but we have 3 other people that we are working on that we feel would be good possibilities. And the reason we need those is at the end of the year, we will have some vacancies again, if you want to consider those. So we'd like to kind of vet through everything. And in our process of us going, I kind of changed procedure, not that we had one, but I've asked them to either come to a workshop or a meeting so they can kind of see what's going on, and we can get a better feel of what they're like as well. Okay. We do get some surprises afterwards, but that's okay.
Okay.
So my request is for approval of Marlis Hartbauer to be on the Custer County Tourism.
Length of her term?
Can I help with that?
Yes.
Yeah, if the bylaws are approved, they're all 1-year terms.
Yep.
They're all what?
No, they're not. Hers isn't.
Those were the bylaws we were
Oh,
looking at yesterday.
I'm sorry. I went to 2
Yes.
meetings, we talked about bylaws and
Yeah.
both of them, I got it confused,
Yeah.
I apologize.
Yeah.
You know,
Good luck.
yeah, I'm trying to think of who was the next person.
According to
Thank you.
my thing, there's one opening that expires in January, and one opening that expires in January of 2021.
Okay. I would have her be for 2021.
And
Say them
It's
again,
appropriate.
Brenda, 2020, 2021.
2019 and 2021. January 2019 and January
Is it
2021.
Marla Hartman?
Marlis. Marlys.
do you think it's appropriate for us to approve this without her knowing the length of her term?
I've already talked to her.
Okay.
So, just so we can have further discussion, why don't I make a motion that we approve of Marlis Hartbauer to join the tourism board with the term ending in 2020, is that correct?
21.
21. Okay.
I'll second the motion. Been moved and seconded to approve the nomination of Marlis Hartbauer to serve on the tourism board term expiring 2021. Discussion?
Has the entire tourism board approved her, or was this?
Yes. No, this was, we were actually at a meeting yesterday, and the three of us approved her.
Okay.
So, and I had already got us on the agenda, so that way I could present that today.
Okay,
further
I
discussion?
have some questions
Okay,
and concerns,
okay,
and I'm confused.
okay.
How many vacancies do we have that are a result of people quitting? Was there 2, 10,
No.
20?
Actually, it started back with Brian Clinton's. That got taken care of. And then Jack's. And then Bob Weisenbach. Brent. And Bruiser. And then Greg Smith.
So how many is that?
That's 5. Right.
So we had 5 vacancies
Throughout
throughout the year.
2
More
2
than a
years.
year,
2
but
years. Yeah.
2 year time.
As of July 31st, there were 4 openings.
Okay, so from July to now, there was 4, and they all expired at different times.
Right.
Some of them the end of this year.
Right.
And that's going to result in an opening at the end of this year, at the beginning of
Right.
next. That's what the vacancies are.
We've
just talking.
appointed Charlie Ellison. to fill
Charlie
that.
Ellison is
Right.
one of them,
And Debbie Adams is another.
and Adams, oh, Adams the other.
But did
Actually, I
both-
showed Charlie
One of
not-
those was
Yeah, Charlie doesn't
2019.
end until 2020.
2020.
Right.
Okay, so Debbie Adams
Is
is
next.
scheduled to expire at the end of this year.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have 2 vacancies still
Yes.
Right.
to fill out this year,
Yes, sir.
and starting into the next. So we have 2 holes.
Yes, sir.
All right. The problem I've had with this whole thing is how many applicants have we got today that want to be on the tourism board?
One still open. We have one.
No, I want to know how many people you have in your hand. You have people that have sent in requests to you.
That's what I'm saying.
Just
We
one.
have 2. We have Marlis,
2.
and we have a Jennifer who is traveling out of the country right now.
Marlis and Jennifer. What happened to Peggy Collins?
Peggy Collins, we asked for additional information like we did everybody else. She did not send it in. And then she, from what I understood, she came in and just stated she didn't have the time.
Then I understood she took that back.
Have a comment on Peggy?
Yeah.
She did send a letter to all of us saying that she's withdrawing her recommendation. I wrote back to her personally, because when she originally asked me, I said, I think you would be an excellent choice, and I encourage you to apply. I wrote back to her after she withdrew and said, I'd really appreciate if you reconsider, because I think you'd make an excellent member. And she wrote back and said, it's just not the right time at the moment. So
How long ago was that?
And I also wrote back after she had pulled off. And I think I copied you guys.
That was after she was in here and got the
correct.
Right, and
deal
then
out.
she
Then
pulled.
I
And
understood.
then I wrote back to her, said, I'm sorry to hear this. And I also asked her to please reconsider as well. And stating, and then asked for additional information like we had everybody else. But then, like, just not the right time for her.
So that was like in last week. She said she's not going to.
Yeah.
Just 2 weeks or so, yeah, I think.
It,
A very short
it's
period.
okay. I would really like to see her on it too, and would
I
Well-
don't
think it would
disagree
be
at all.
great.
Yeah, and
Now that's not doesn't mean it's still not too late to have her come on at some point.
yeah, we've
If
got,
the time is right when we
Right.
find out. I just have a problem piecemealing this thing together. We've had people want to be on it, but John Johnson, what happened to him?
he again, I requested additional information, just like for everybody else, and he never got back, and, you know.
And you have two or three others, and we keep coming in and piecemealing it, and not considering the whole pool that's available that could be good and bad. And as a matter of fact, I would like to see. There's no reason in the world we can't have more people on the board. You know, 5's not magic.
Right,
The more that we would have, the better it is, I think, especially if people come and go because of different reasons.
This is,
And that way we're not caught like we
The
have
first-
been with no
this has been,
majority to make laws, you know, to make decisions.
right?
So that's just an issue I have right now. What are we doing about making sure that the letters go out or requests? That's one thing to say, please call 2 weeks ago, and it's another one to say, all right, the tourism board has X openings, and project out where we are, like you do every time you come in. You're telling us who's there, and you pick a day. Oh, I want this guy to go through X year. You know, in the past, when we approve these guys, we know what the term limit is. We know who it is, why they're on there, and we have some confidence that they're going to do it, and then we can. I feel better making a decision. I don't know how you guys feel. The more information you have, the better it is to do. So, I don't have a bit of problem with Marlis. Matter of fact, I asked her to be on it a long time
Yeah,
ago.
so,
But
Okay, well, the motion does pertain to whether or
Marlis.
not we approve Marlis. We've kind of sidetracked here.
the only reason is because I wanted to know if we wanted to table this and wait till we get some people on here to decide. I know, that's why I wanted the discussion. What,
We don't have the applicants, and I think we have
Well,
a
and
good vetted person.
well, we want to get her on as soon as we can,
Right.
actually.
We definitely wanted a quorum, so the two that we added, Deb and Charles, were very important. And then when the three recommended, based on the only applicants they have,
Right.
I don't want to.
No, I agree with you.
How we put people on boards, because if we do it for this one, we're going to have to look at this same process.
I agree.
When
We
any
do it
other
all,
one comes to us, we
coming
say, wait a
over
minute,
and
let's
over
get the
again.
whole
Get
pool.
this darn thing
da-da-da.
together.
And it just, it's never worked that way.
So if we get Marlis on here, we got one more vacancy to
Correct.
fill for the end of this year still,
Correct.
right?
Well, for.
Well, we have a
depends on
vacancy.
what
that-
slot it is.
Right.
Yeah,
There's only
it's
4
not really
people,
for the
we
end
need
of the
5.
year.
Right. Well, the motion is for
Marla.
Marla for
2020.
For 2020, to go on, she'll go
Correct.
through the
The
next
2
year,
under
so
one.
I get it.
The empty one they have will finish this year, and then they could always put another letter in, and we could choose to accept it or not.
right,
The other position is due to expire at the end of this year or the end of 2019?
The end of this year, in
The open.
January of 2019.
Okay, thank you. All right.
So that means that we'll have 2 to fill,
yeah.
for sure, right?
And those people that are on now, you know, hopefully they will put in their letter of interest that they want to continue.
You
I'm
actually
gonna,
have
as a
3.
chairman, I'm gonna say, let's confine our remarks to the motion at hand. If you wanna
Okay.
do something to this motion, you're
Right.
welcome to do it. But the motion is before the group to appoint, approve, it's been
I
moved to
agree
approve
with you.
Marlis.
I agree with
Further
that. I
discussion.
just wanted to make sure we were on the same sheet of music here. So, I'm good.
Public comment?
Is this Russell's wife?
Yes.
No.
Brad's.
Brad,
Brad's
sorry.
wife.
RV.
Sorry. Marlis Hartbauer,
Marlis and Brad.
co-owner of the,
Brad came by once and decided he didn't want it.
Yeah,
The RV,
Hearing none.
the RV.
yeah.
Yes.
Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay, motion carries.
thanks.
Thank you.
Marlis Hartbauer, 2021. Now, will you sit for another question or two?
Right.
I think the discussion here from here forward would be more appropriate.
Yep.
Sure, and I agree.
And I'd like to,
Philosophically, I want to ask commissioners in front of you this question. It really does apply to all boards, but we're talking about tourism. Why is it that commissioners have the final say-so? Why do you feel that's the commissioner's job?
Because they represent the county,
Okay.
and we're responsible for the county. That's
Okay.
why I
We're
feel.
we're responsible for the efficient and legal use of that money. That's what
And if
we're
I could say
accountable
one
for.
other comment on that, I feel it's important for us to have, allow us, the boards, if they get together and this is just me speaking now, they get together and they vet someone and they vote and they're in favor, unless there is some overriding magnanimous reason for us not to approve it, we've given them the authority, and I'm not talking about this particular,
Right.
I'm talking
A
about any
board.
board. We've given them the authority, they came back to us and asked for us. My feeling is, unless there's some outstanding thing, it should be close to a rubber stamp. And what I mean by that is, we give them a job, they're volunteers, that's what they want. Unless there's a major issue, we ought to approve it. That's just my personal opinion.
Okay, and that's why I asked the question, guys. I guess I want the opportunity to throw out kind of my personal perspective on this as well. Initially, I felt the same thing and actually voiced this to a couple boards. I can't imagine the commissioners going against a recommendation that you bring to the board.
Right.
I have since evaluated that, not particularly for the tourism board, but that's what we're talking about today. If any board brings a recommendation to the commissioners that I personally, as a commissioner, not as a group, but as a single commissioner, don't feel comfortable with the direction that that member may take the board or may push the board that they're being appointed to, then is it reasonable for me to have an issue with that or any other commissioner?
Yes, it is.
I mean, it's really, we're talking about the political aspect of it.
Let me respond to my feeling on that, and this is just me again. I think you have a reservation. We always, as we have done in the past, have a right to remove someone. So if you're concerned about what this person may do in the future, if it was me, I would say, you know what, I'm gonna let them come on, and if what I'm concerned about comes to fruition, then I may recommend to the tribunal here to remove them.
Yeah.
But I think that discussion could go, I hear you, and I don't have a problem taking somebody off, that's okay. But I would say if we knew ahead of time that whether they're, for anything, actually, if they're recommending to spend money and we already know that that's not in the best interest of the citizens of this county, because that's who we represent, we can stop it. And we can stop the payment, we can hold the money, we don't have to, and we can fire people and all that. So I think in order to be more, it would be negligent, I think, if Tom had a concern with somebody and we didn't know about it, and there's a major issue, the public needs to know about it, and I think it's fair to bring it up.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that.
Here's what causes me angst. Let's say that,
With any board, I'm not talking to
let's
you.
say that Kelly is in that position, so we're not talking about
Right.
any one thing. And she is recommending somebody to us.
Okay.
And then I say to you guys, I got a problem with this person because I think this person is going to take us down a road that I personally, as a commissioner, don't want to see us go. Well, is that fair? Am I putting my presumptions on somebody's behavior and their actions prematurely? I agree.
I think
with
you
what
are.
you're saying.
I think you
Could
would
be.
unless you know for a
unless-
fact. I mean, if they came to you and say, the reason I want to be on this board is because I'm going to do
Right.
X, Y, and Z, and you go, whoa, that's not
Yeah.
what we do.
Right.
Then I'm 100%.
Yeah.
But because in a previous life, or a
Whatever.
previous board, they did something that you felt wasn't appropriate,
Mhm.
I don't think that's enough to hold them against.
But what is enough is if they don't meet the criteria of the law or the.
Oh, yeah,
and
I
which has
got
happened
question
in the
there.
past.
No
So-
problem
No
with that.
question.
No
So
problem.
we, and we have, that's why
Criminals.
we gotta make sure that's right.
Right, if someone comes in and
Or
they
they're not
have
a citizen
criminal
of the
past,
county or whatever the
I got
issue
an
is.
issue right off the bat, I'll
So,
tell you that
that's
now.
why we have to approve it.
Now, I'm talking more on the philosophical level, on the political level. I mean, there's gonna be people that don't line up with my personal political values and goals for this county.
That's
This
true.
committee,
Is-
I had a potential problem like that, but I turned to Angie and I said to everybody else, this is your decision if you feel that's appropriate. And I never even voiced it to anybody. I don't even think I voiced it
And
to you.
I have had said the same thing, and I'll tell you how I feel about it, Tom. I have personal, everybody has personal, strong feelings based
Sure.
upon how they view the world.
Sure.
But we represent the people, so it's our job
That's
first
right.
to understand, are my values the same as the
Right.
rest of the people? Eventually, you could get clear off in left field, so it's inappropriate for you to be pushing your feelings unless you know that you are representing
Right.
District
And
2
therein
or
lies why
District 3.
you are a good commissioner, okay?
Yeah.
Because you said
So-
exactly right.
Right.
It's
So-
not what I think, it's
Right.
what I represent.
And that's why I have a problem when we piecemeal these people together, because I personally want, be representing the people I do, want to see, okay, I've got a pool of people to choose from, and I know the values of these people, I know what they think, and therefore I would like to see Marlis, Peggy, Brad, do name it, the guys that you know personally, and let's get them on the darn board. Or if I know somebody else that just came into town and we interview these people, and they don't meet that criteria, then I don't want to necessarily vote up front to put them on initially either. So that's a process. Now, that we may not have the ability to see or hear all that up front, so therefore that's why you have the right of refusal later. I don't like what you're doing. You guys you've disrupted the board, blah, 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 you're out. And in the end, we become the board if we had to, because
And
that's our job.
In fact, I think that's exactly what happened over the last 6 months with
It did.
tourism.
It did.
And I think the process worked well. I know
Yeah.
a lot of people were really upset because there was never a quorum. I mean, we had one
Right.
person who
Right.
represented it, and we started from scratch.
And we worked it.
And I personally
So-
feel it worked well and it needed to be done.
Right. So I'm good with, so from here forward, on all the boards, this is just a normal thing. We want to make sure that, and it's our job, make sure you're advertising these positions out there. Have you, it's one thing to put a note out one time, and how do we follow it up? What's your process to get new members, blah, blah, blah. We can look at bylaws, and that's why we sit in on board meetings once in a while. We do not run those boards.
Correct.
We oversee them, and we make sure they're on track, and we can stop it. We can't insert, we take advice,
Not long
and
ago,
then we
we had
insert
official.
what we want to do later.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. Yeah, and I don't agree with your assessment of piecemealing this particular
No,
board
I'm-
together because of the circumstances we've had to bring on people one at a time. We'll do that with all these boards when those terms expire.
Yeah.
We may bring on one person, we might bring on two people.
And that happens. I don't have a problem with that.
So
It's
I
just,
don't have a problem with the process as it's happening
But
right
here's
now.
where Bill's comment would be germane. When we approve the boards at the beginning of each
Right.
year, then it could be look at
Oh,
the entire
we
group
need
and
to.
say, is this the group
Right.
we want doing whatever it
Right.
is?
and let's
Then it's a
understand
program.
how the board, pulled that
Yeah.
few people up out of the pool.
That being said, now, in the process, let's assume in January of 2019, tourism's gonna come to us with 2 out of their 5 approvals. Because we don't approve them until their term expires.
Correct.
We're not gonna approve your entire board, we're only gonna approve your
Right.
members, whether they're current or new members coming in. So
Right.
we can't, January 1, disapprove your whole board because your whole
Right.
board's not up for approval.
Right.
That's all I'm
It's
saying.
only a
We
few
can
people.
disapprove anybody up, and
Right.
then we could choose to remove others
Right.
if that's something we
If
choose
something's
to
already
do.
got an issue, we can talk about it.
And you-
As well as bring other people on in an ex officio capacity according to your bylaw.
Bylaws.
Right.
Okay.
I'd love,
And,
So thanks for sitting through
another,
this.
another reason is, we're also under the county's insurance for D&O. I mean, so that's one more aspect why you should,
Right.
guys need
Have
to be-
some hands-on.
yeah. So
Okay.
I do
All right.
have one question in regards grants.
Okay.
It states that the county, if, like the tourism board is going to go for a grant, my understanding is that we have to come before the commissioners, that you guys know that we're going to be doing them, what type of thing.
That's really correct. I think.
That's from,
Hang on.
Okay.
hang on. I think the way we've done it in the past, the organizations can request grants. The only time that the board would sign off it, and I may be wrong, the only time the board signs off it is if the grant needs county approval for the grant. I mean, there are many organizations that get grants that don't require county approval, they just go ahead and put it forward. So, I don't know, do you feel differently?
Only if it would incur county finances,
And that's
matching
exactly right.
grants,
So-
or
right.
whatever.
or
Yeah,
our
we-
name as
and-
you're putting the county backing the grant.
we do have, the
And it has
tourism
to
board
come
does
from-
have,
But if you
Says
wanted
anybody
to do a
can donate
tourism
money.
grant, if you wanted to ask for a tourism grant that didn't require a commissioner or county approval, I personally feel that would be fine for you.
The only issue I would have is if that grant or that person, it could be Joe Blow, I want to give Angie $5 million, but I want her to do this, that, and that. That criteria has to meet our, because this is a county function.
Your point is
It's-
well taken.
And so you just can't, I mean,
If
there's a
it's
lot of grants out
restricted-
there that have strings and we're not gonna, and it could,
If it's restricted funds.
could
we
be
need to
anything,
involved.
that could take us down a path we
Don't
do
wanna
not
go.
wanna go or shouldn't go or legally can't go.
I'm not disagreeing with
You
that.
know, I think because of circumstances in the last 4 or 5 months, if I believe this Board of County Commissioners will be sensitive to what you're doing on behalf of the county.
Right.
What
You bet.
message you're spending, what brand you're sending, what logo if that doesn't line up with the philosophy of the Board of County Commissioners, we're gonna have an issue.
Right.
Or the people of the county.
It very well may, but I agree with Commissioner Prince, unless it requires county approval or you're gonna come back to the county and say, oh, by the way, we need $6,000 matching grant. Yeah, that's not gonna fly.
Well, it'll be within the tourism board and we have the matching
Yeah,
funds
we have to
there.
understand
Don't you?
what the other grant is going to do.
Right.
We don't have to prove it, but we need to understand.
Right,
the story.
right.
We
I
understand
just-
why need to understand why you're taking it and just what are you getting
Right,
involved
right.
with.
Stuff,
I
so,
mean, if I was on a board, I would probably, in trying to maintain some healthy relationship with the commission, probably come to them and say, hey, we're gonna apply for this grant, it's not gonna cost you anything, this is what we're gonna do with it, this is how much money's involved.
Surprised
Just-
at what's
I
happening.
just know in the
Avoid
past
a lot of angst.
commissioner boards, it was where if there was any grants that it needed to come before. So I just wanted some clarification.
Yeah,
on that.
Commissioner, or Counselor Smith, any input on this?
No, I think
Okay.
you've all covered it well.
Right, and another way to look at it too is if she takes, a board takes on something, you're still using county dollars because we're not paying, but they're working for the county as a tourism board, as an airport board. And so it is a county function that they're executing and they're working with something else. So we do have a vested interest in it no matter what.
Right, no, I don't, I absolutely agree.
Yeah. Okay.
So before we
then-
run you off, can I just make one comment?
Yes, sir.
And this is to compliment you. I've been, anyway, a lot of turmoil. Obviously, over the last couple months, you stood strong, you did your job, you helped us get to where we are today.
Thanks.
And I just would publicly like to thank you for that.
Thank you.
We're gonna start a new award, the Angie Attenborough, hang in
No,
there.
NDA.
well, we still have some dynamics and stuff,
good.
but
We'll work
thank you
on it.
guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, we will.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks.
You bet.
Morning, Mrs. Arley. Okay, we'll move on. It's a discussion item. I don't foresee it being an action item, but you never know. Discussion pertaining to the ownership and use of the S brand logo and the branding
Tom?
effort. Yes, sir.
Before that, I did talk to Dallas, and
Okay.
I think he has an issue. It's a legal issue, and it does need to be discussed in executive session.
Okay.
And Dallas said he could wait till the end, so. we'll
Okay,
do that.
gentlemen.
Poor guy.
Commissioner Kanda, are you okay with that?
Yeah, you bet.
I'm fine.
Okay,
For your benefit.
okay. Yep.
I say, you gotta sit this long, that's my poor guy, isn't it?
So we will schedule an executive session immediately following the conclusion of the business of this meeting. We will not adjourn the meeting, but as soon as we're done with the business of this meeting, we'll go into executive session. I'm assuming, Counselor Smith, that you want to invite Mr. Anderson into that session. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Anderson needs to address the board, and
Okay.
I believe,
Concerning legal advice?
correct.
Okay.
I think we need to have Donna Hobby here as well.
Okay. Can we inform her of that?
I will.
Thank you.
I think she was listening to.
Okay, all right. Thank you, appreciate that, sir. Don't know what happened here, everything just died. That's weird.
What it did?
Yes, it did,
You unplugged?
probably. Yeah.
maybe it's coming from my computer.
No, I didn't have my
Passing
plug in
it
all the way in.
Oh, on this thing, right?
Discussion pertaining to the ownership of the S brand logo. Commissioner Kanda, would you like to start?
Sure. My concern with this was, it's a result of the tourism board, basically, and the logo that was evolved. I don't have a problem with people coming up with logos for commercial and names like Custer County Realty and all that. That's not a county issue, but I do have a problem if it came across to me in the newspapers that the brand, it belonged to Greg Smith or somebody. I'm not sure how it came across. But I thought that if it involved a tourism board working with a organization to come up with a grant or a process to get a logo, if it's a private deal, that's fine. But if it's our dollars that went into working that, I don't care if it was the grant or not, it was obtained by us being part of the grant process. I wanted to know, was there tourism actions taken by the people that actually helped build that logo or sponsored it or whatever? Who owns that? Who has the copyright on that logo that we see in the paper? It's not a county, it's not a Custer County logo. It's not been endorsed by the people of this county through us right now. So that's the discussion I wanted to have just
Okay.
with you guys.
Okay. We'll have an opportunity.
Because I think there's some confusion out there in the world.
Yeah, I agree, and I certainly have some perspective on this, but I would defer to Commissioner Prince. You have?
I'm very torn on this, to be honest with you. I think some of the wording is what is the major issue here. My understanding, and please correct me if I'm not correct, is that it was the Economic Development Corporation that funded this. That's my understanding.
Not correct, not
Okay.
entirely.
There's 3 organizations that were about 4. And was any of county dollars used for this? If the answer to that is yes, then I would agree completely with what you say. If no county dollars were used and they went out on their own, got the grant, got it done,
People want to put on their websites or whatever, that's fine.
and that's the way I feel. You know, if they want to use it, let them use it. If it's county money, then I would say you are absolutely correct. Even if it's just a small amount, it's a county issue now, because we're paying for some of it.
And that's
But
how I
if it
felt with
wasn't-
the people on the tourism board, Jay, that participated in that foursome that developed that logo, and then they walked out thinking that group owns it. Well, part of that group was the tourism people. Or were they?
See, I'm thinking,
I'll get to you, hold on.
Yeah.
Now, here's the problem. Let me just say this up front. This is not an action item, so we're not gonna allow public comment.
Okay,
The commissioners may have a question,
okay.
so that's all I'm saying, just be patient, okay? I personally have a question for you.
Thanks.
We're not gonna get into some long drawn-out public
Yeah, I don't
comment
want to do
here.
that now.
No,
If a commissioner wants to ask you a question, and if you care to answer that succinctly, then we're in good shape. But we're
That's
not
the
gonna
right
go down a whole big public comment thing. So go ahead, sir.
well, I mean, that's all I'm saying is, you know, if they did it, they paid for it, I would think if 4 organizations own it, or they could decide between themselves who own it. I personally don't feel the county would own it unless the county has endorsed it, financed it, or in some way promulgated it. So that's just my thought, but I'm open
And
for
I
any
happen to agree
suggestion.
with your assessment of that. Personally, I don't think the county has funded any part of this.
I don't think so.
It came through that Blueprint 2.0 grant. CART, Chamber, Tourism, and the Economic Development Company.
Correct.
So you really got 3 public entities there. I'm assuming Chamber would be considered a public entity.
Tourism's ours.
And tourism and CART, and then a private company. I don't think we have ownership of that. I am highly irritated and disappointed that whoever they are, including the newspaper, the Tribune, jumped on this thing to try to, in my opinion, put out the perception that this was a county government brand and logo. And that didn't set very well with me.
And I concur with that.
Okay.
Because it's if they own it, it's private, they do what they want, like
That's
you
right.
just said. If it's public and it's ours, then regardless who paid for it, we need to
Right.
be
Now,
valued.
with that being said, I want to ask Angie, as far as you know, did the tourism board put dollars into the process to come up with this logo and brand?
the tourism board did not put any money in towards that, nor did the board have any input. It was one person.
Okay, so the
So-
tourism, you're saying the tourism board did not have input as a board into the logo and the
That's
brand?
right.
Who's Greg Smith? Who's he work for?
Can I follow up on what
Oh,
Angie just said?
yeah.
If I may, please. I don't mean to interrupt you.
Okay.
I was at the tourist board meeting yesterday.
Right.
Okay, and the question of this came up. And in fact, the tourism board said, this is an economic development logo. We don't even feel this is a very good tourism board logo. And if I'm speaking out of turn, please jump in there.
You need to let Deb know that.
That was
Yeah.
the discussion that was taking place. So the tourism board kind of felt like they were left out of the process to some extent. Now, they were part of the group, but I'm just not getting it as a tourism issue.
So, Jay, you
Yeah.
do a very good job of recusing yourself when there's a conflict of interest.
Right.
I did not see Greg Smith recusing himself. He was on the board of the tourism board.
Right.
And he ends up in the newspaper saying, if you want to use this logo, come and see me, I own it. Now, how did that
Does
happen?
he own it?
That's
Because
what it
that's
said in the
right.
paper.
What?
That's what he does.
That's what he said. He's got the copyright on it or something. I don't know. That's why I'm confused. I want to know
I am
what the truth
totally
is.
unfamiliar with that. But then I'll ask the question, is this a fight or a question we should even bring up?
Well,
What do we care if we don't
I
own
care
it?
because we got a lot of people calling me, people that work that are in the district that I
Right.
represent, said, why did you guys, how come you're sponsoring that logo as a
Right.
county
I
commissioner?
think
I
the
did
answer
not.
would be,
I
we
stood up
did.
in a meeting and said I didn't support it.
Right.
And the tourism board is an arm of us. And if I'm good with the tourism board not participating, fine. But I don't know that happened. That's all my question is. So
Okay.
I think there's a conflict of interest.
I want to ask Jackie Beavis a question because you were on that tourism board in the old days, previous
When
to right
that-
now,
when
with that being on the agenda.
Yes.
Can you give us your perspective of that, how that played
It
out?
was my understanding at the time that it was a tourism board grant. That entities from the other groups helped put it together, had input, it was as I recall, it was a hurry up, we've got to get this grant in before this
So
afternoon
was there a
at 4
county
o'clock.
commissioner's signature saying the county was part of it or not?
No. It was submitted in June of 2017. The minutes show that. I would have to go back and look at my notes because it didn't make it into the minutes, silly me. But it was my understanding that it was a tourism board grant. That's the issue at hand, is who was the grant given to? If it was given to the CCEDC,
That's fine. They can
then
have it.
the product of that grant is theirs. If it was given to the tourism board, then the product of the grant, which is that
It's a
logo and any other stuff that went with that branding thing, belongs to them. But for a member of the tourism board to leave the tourism board and take the product of the tourism board with them,
And then go ahead and distribute it as a county logo.
that was
is wrong.
that was my question, and my feeling is it will all be answered if we can see the paperwork.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
You're
that's
welcome.
I specifically asked the question when S. Brand came and gave the presentation to the commissioners in the courtroom, who's behind this? And I was very pointedly told, Economic Development Company, Tourism, Cart, Chamber.
right.
So it's just a perception that the county government has something to do with this logo and this branding that sets me on edge. I just can't go there because it is not the truth.
Right.
I think the commissioners each spoke at the presentation about their opinion of it. That's on record. That's fine. But as Bill, I've also had people corner me and say, hey,
Big time.
your stinking logo stinks. I said, first of all, understand something. It has nothing to do with county government. This is outside the county government's purview. I hope I'm correct. when
We
I
need to
make
straighten
that
it up and
assessment.
publicly, whatever it takes, even an article in a newspaper that straightens out the lineage once we understand it, then it's fine. If the other three, or Westcliff can go promote any logo they want, if it's Westcliff, not the county. But they are part of the county, so it seems to me that we all ought to be together on whatever they come up with.
Would the commissioners be comfortable with inviting those representatives, those entities in and meet with the commissioners and have this discussion, or no?
That's exactly what I was gonna recommend. Maybe we could have a workshop, invite Mr. Smith.
Yeah.
Well, just invited also, but Greg Smith and the four entities come in and let's hear what they feel, who the
Yeah,
ownership
well,
is.
who has the copyright on it?
Right, because I'm hearing, I didn't know till just now that Greg Smith is claiming
Oh, yeah,
ownership
man.
to this. I did not know that.
Call him for your piece of
And that's fine, I just didn't know it, I'm not doubting
No, I
it's
know,
true,
I
I just didn't know it, so
blatant.
I would say let's get in here and let's determine, because if it is a county logo, then we definitely must be involved in it, if we own it, if we even own a piece of it, if we financed $1 of it,
Right.
we have the
Or
right to it.
continue to spend money to go do things with it. That, if the tourism board grabs that, that's not the county logo right now.
But you know, the tourism board has a logo,
Right,
it's never
yeah.
been approved by the county. I
Well,
mean,
maybe not, maybe it should
I
have
think
been.
it's 2 words on there that's killing everybody here.
Not, well, maybe,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not keen on, even if I didn't have the 2 words. You know, you want something that the county can get, we've talked about that, so.
I'd say let's have a
Yeah.
workshop and invite
And,
them all in and
and
let's.
I guess
let's
my
talk this out.
perspective is, I would rather do it during a BOCC meeting
Yeah,
than a
keep it up.
workshop.
Well, it's up to you, I mean, you're the chairman, I mean,
No,
they're
it's
all
up to
open to
us.
the public,
It's not
they're
up
all
to
recorded, I mean, it
No,
doesn't
yes.
matter. Well,
No, it's not up to me, it would be up to us to
It's up to
decide
us.
that. I would move that we invite the representatives from the 4 entities, those being CART, Chamber, Economic Development Company, and,
And Mr. Smith, because if he's claiming ownership, we need to have him here.
right, but the 4 entities,
If he
CART,
claims to,
Chamber, Tourism, Economic
Right.
Development Company, and Mr. Smith.
is he part of the economic development? Is he
Yes.
part of that organization? If he is, then.
I mean, I attended the meeting where that was formally introduced back on August 9th.
So he's representing
He's,
them.
yes, economic development claims ownership of it, and I think if there's a copyright, it's economic development. They've assigned this to Greg Smith, but he's not claiming that he owns it himself. He's the one
Okay.
that's
Okay.
handling that,
No, so
how it's
that's
used.
Very different.
My motion, if I may, will include Mr. Smith.
Yep.
I'll go ahead and second that, because we have to get this on the table, this needs to get resolved.
Thank you.
Did you put a
No,
date on
we,
that?
we will get to that. Been moved and seconded to invite the representatives from the 4 entities, whoever they choose, doesn't matter to me, and Mr. Smith, Greg Smith, to meet with the Board of County Commissioners to discuss ownership and use of the S brand logo.
Do you want
and branding.
TBD the date then in the motion?
We'll add that. Subsequent discussion. And of course, the discussion here is obviously what date. So
Tell me the last part of to meet with you guys to discuss.
the ownership and use of the S brand, which is the company that came up with the logo and the branding process itself. Ms. Brenda, I look to you. October 2nd or October 3rd?
Um,
Can we get them there that
That's
fast?
pretty fast.
I don't know.
Maybe, well, I don't want
Did it
Or
mid-month, we
if
don't
you
want to
wanted
do it
to
wet
be a
more
month
either.
from, you know, the last day of October, or, because it's not fair to drag people down to Whitmore, and I don't mean that. in
No,
a
I think,
derogatory term.
I'd
actually,
rather
waiting
do
a
it
month
here.
isn't,
I'd rather do it here.
yeah, we need to do it here. I don't know that it matters. We need time to get them in here and let them digest it. Do you want to wait, do you want to do it the 3rd? The 3rd would be
Yeah, I would agree, maybe the 2nd, 3rd's a little.
that's too
So
soon.
let's,
Let's do it the end of the
31st?
I would
Yeah.
move
Yes.
to amend the motion to add October 31st as a new business agenda item.
Good.
Is there a second to the amendment?
I'll second the amendment.
Been moved and seconded to amend the main motion by adding the words October 31st. Debate, hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All true public
Wait,
comment
public
on the
comment,
amendment only? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Hearing further public comment on the amendment?
God.
Aye.
Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
I like the.
Aye. The amendment carries. We'll now proceed to vote after hearing public comment on the main motion, which states that we invite the 4 representatives and Mr. Smith to discuss the logo and the branding on October 31st. Public comment?
The only comment I have is it doesn't make a bit of difference what they feel. What makes a difference is who the grant was made to. If it was made to CCEDC, then CCEDC owns it.
But that's
And
part
they
of
can
the
do
discussion.
anything that,
Right.
well, but unless you see
Right.
the paperwork, and once
So
you
we're
see
gonna
the
ask for the
paperwork,
paperwork,
it
and-
doesn't matter what they think.
If I may, I think your point's well taken.
That's good.
Brenda, would you ask the organizations to bring whatever documentation they have on the granting
Show
process?
grant and the ownership.
Including
the grant- whoever-
specifically the Blueprint 2.0
Right,
application that was submitted
right.
to, I believe it went to OEDIT.
That's what I thought.
And any other documentation, for example, if they had meetings as a group and they participated and the tourism board actively took place with it, that's a county piece working with it. If they got other lineage, let's see what they got,
Who
minutes.
all was it again? Carter?
Tourism, CART, Chamber.
Economic development.
And just for information, at the time, they had a committee thing, I don't know, for lack of a better word.
Steering
between
committee is what they call
Between
it.
the four
Right.
entities.
Round table.
It was a round table. I asked if I could go to that, and I was told no, I could not, because it was a violation of sunshine law for more than whatever
What?
of the tourism board to go to the meeting. It was
What?
like it was a secret. And what they did was they came back and they had already made decisions. I objected at the time, but I was so outnumbered on that board by the people that got ugly,
Okay.
you know? So that's just information.
Public comment? Yes,
And I will back what Jackie says, that's the whole process, 2017 and 18, what went on. It was, we were asked, even the board would even ask to be a part and to even see the other locals or whatever, and we were told no. So the tourism board,
By whom were you told no?
right,
Even
In what-
Weisenbach
in what-
told me no.
Hang on one second. In what capacity
As a
did you
tourism
say no?
board, okay.
As for economic
because
development?
he was the one that was handling,
Yeah, but what
That
capacity?
happened during a
was he
tourism
speaking?
board meeting, correct?
yes, sir.
So he was acting as a tourism board representative
Yes.
and told you that you didn't have an opportunity?
Yes.
that we, as a board, we could not, Tom even asked.
As a guest of the tourism board, I also inquired as to the possibility of introducing other logos, other ideas from the community. Was flat told, no, that boat has sailed. We are no longer doing that. We are not going to do that. We are
So
moving
that
ahead
was the
with-
tourism board speaking,
That was at a tourism board
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah, it's in the minutes.
so it sounds
So,
like they took
Okay,
ownership.
further public comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the motion, which states to invite representatives of the four entities plus Mr. Greg Smith to our October 31 meeting for a discussion pertaining to the ownership and use of the S brand logo and branding, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Just a question, we don't
Yes.
have to wear costumes on that day, do we? No, it's just a joke, because last year's Halloween was very interesting.
Yeah, let me go on record saying I guarantee you I will be dressed appropriately for a board commissioner meeting, no matter what day it is. Rescheduling of staff meetings is the next item of business. Under new business, I asked for this to be put on there. Gentlemen, I may or may not have communicated the intent here with you previously, and I apologize if I didn't. We missed a staff meeting in our August meeting. It just,
Blew by.
nobody had a big issue. It kind of fell through the cracks. Nobody seemed to be having any angst over the fact that we didn't have
If I
that.
remember correctly, we did send out a memo saying if anybody needed to meet, let us know. So it wasn't like we just blew it
Right.
off.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that led to a discussion with some of the department heads, including elected officials, and that discussion basically wrapped around the idea of this. If we have a staff meeting as part of a Board of County Commissioners meeting, is that a conducive environment for employees or department heads to come to the commission with concerns that they may or may not choose to want to air that laundry out in public? Their question was, can one commissioner, a representative of this Board of County Commissioners, meet with the staff in a staff meeting, and if there are issues that need to come before the board, then that
That
BOC
is the way to
rep
do it. We can't
could
three of
bring
us
it.
sit in a staff meeting.
Well, we can.
But it
because
becomes a
right now
public
they're-
meeting, it becomes a Board of
Well,
Commissioners
right now
meeting.
we can because they're part of a
That's
Board
the
of County
point.
Commissioners meeting. What they're asking is, can they separate those staff meetings away from the BOCC meeting so that they can basically quote unquote have a staff meeting that pertains
I
to
think
the
that's a great
staff?
idea, personally.
We've only had one that was part of a BLCC meeting. The rest of them have been
After.
after.
But when all three of us though sit there, Kelly, it is a BOCC meeting, because that's, from a sunshine law point of view, we can't, there's
If
three of us.
decisions are made.
That's right.
Well,
Well,
there shouldn't
even
be
if
sitting
discussion-
meetings
It shouldn't be
like
a
that,
sitting meeting, that's,
discussing county business.
that's right. And so,
So their
it's a good.
general suggestion was separate that from BOCC, have a commissioner representative, have a commissioner represent the BOCC at
Could
that
rotate
meeting.
the commissioners.
Go sit in,
Scrap
whoever's
the
available
commissioner.
or whatever. So that's the discussion that, excuse me, I wanted to bring before the board today.
Well, in the interest of sunshine law, do we want to make a motion to separate them and to discuss it? I move
I
to do
think
so.
we would, yes. You said you do move to? I'll second the motion.
Okay, and that is to
Separate the
Separate.
meetings,
bifurcate
put a
the
representative,
commission meeting.
a commissioner representative, could be anybody.
Thank you for that. It's been moved and seconded to separate the staff meetings from the BOCC meetings and ask a representative of the BOCC to attend the staff
Right.
meeting upon availability or interest. Is that fair enough?
Fair enough.
Discussion.
Okay, discussion item. If issues are brought up that need to be discussed further, executive session or?
Just to be.
That would be,
Could depend on the
Okay,
issue,
so
just
let
like,
me ask this question. No, maybe I don't want to ask it. Never mind.
because what do we do currently? You know, it's been public,
Right.
and if we had an issue that
Right.
needed an executive
No,
session.
I
we'd have to-
fully understand. I wouldn't want to say in
Right.
public, on the camera, something that I
Personnel-wise.
would like to have brought up,
True.
but I'm intimidated because it's a public
That's
meeting,
right.
it's on the record, it's on the camera. I fully understand that, and I think that's appropriate not to say, you have no right to say something,
Right.
because if not, it's gonna be public.
That's right.
So if we did a
Yeah.
private thing, I'm
It's
I'm
sort of
all in
like all
favor
our
of that.
boards are, you know, representative commissioner can wander around.
Sure. No, I'm fine.
well, in a healthy environment for a staff meeting, they should be able to talk about personnel issues.
Right, they
Talk
need
about
to.
anything in the world they
See,
want.
I got a problem
Not be
with,
afraid to bring it up.
I got
The
a
commissioner
problem with
doesn't like
employee
it.
B, and
I agree.
so.
Also, I think here's
I
another
think it'd be
comment,
helpful.
just I think from a healthy point of view, it'll help efficiently move our BOCC meeting and help us do more things. I mean, right now, we're having so
Well,
many
agreement.
meetings.
I'm just looking
Yeah.
at process.
Right,
Well, it's just
And
discussion.
if the individual would come back and say, I would like to enter an executive session at a
Exactly.
BOCC meeting to discuss something I learned at a
right.
staff meeting.
Very appropriate, I think. It's,
Are staff meetings recorded or not? And there's no minutes?
Just the one time.
So we're busting the
Because they were
sunshine
never
law.
done in a meeting.
But, I mean, they were done afterwards, but, and
That
it was,
is a
and the
BOCC
doors
meeting.
were open, so public could be, so it was really a public meeting. But you don't record them, and you don't take minutes.
And if you had a public Joe
No,
Blow sit in here, they wouldn't want to bring up a personnel issue.
Is the
And in the
camera on?
past, they
No.
have stopped the meeting and,
Had to go
And then-
somewhere else to make an issue.
yeah, and then we have it's never been a part of the meeting, except that one time.
okay. Further discussion? Public comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Whoops.
I'll
I
say,
can't.
No.
I'm torn forced, but I'm gonna say aye because I think it's absolutely
Okay.
appropriate.
Now,
People need to be able to voice their concerns without,
so how do we pick a
Me
time
beating
now?
them.
All right, so the motion has been approved. The staff meetings are already scheduled, so they can stay on an existing
So
schedule.
a couple commissioners will
Any
wander
effect
out
with
and
that.
have lunch, and poor sucker has to stay.
Well, they may come, I couldn't tell you the time, I think it's 1 or 2 o'clock.
No, I'm just teasing.
So the motion's
when
been
is the next
approved
one?
to separate the two
October,
items.
November
November the 17th?
30th.
November
Oh, it's the
3rd.
end of the month, okay.
Yeah, I got it on
Okay, very good, thank you. And then our last item of business, under new business, is discussion pertaining to real estate transactions. As you gentlemen are aware, we have been moving the process forward to list a couple of specific pieces of property right now, with other properties probably to follow for the county to put those up for sale. Mrs. Jackie Hobby asked if I would bring this to the board and get your consent for one of us, it doesn't have to be me by any means, but for one of us to be able to function in moving that process forward as far as getting the surveys done, getting the market analysis done, figure out some process to do either an open listing or a bid process without having to come to the board for every one of those, just to be a manager of this real estate transaction. By no means was the intent to execute any
Right.
contracts or business without the,
Get the
but
big
just get
done.
things going so that
That's-
we don't have to wait every 2 weeks or whatever
That's fine.
to find out if we can go get a market analysis. I would offer to do that because I've been a little involved, but I certainly would defer to either one of you gentlemen if you're interested.
I'm fine with you doing it if you would like to, and if not,
I think it's a good thing, sort of like the way we're handling other contracts.
I'm fine with it.
Okay. Commissioner, so by consent, we're okay if I pursue the activities of trying to bring that whole process to the point where the board can vote yes or no to put this real estate on the market, and obviously how we go about
You bring
doing
all
that.
the data in.
All the stuff, yes, sir. And I'll work with Jackie, because some of it does deal with the planning and zoning office. Okay, good. Thank you, appreciate that. By consent, then, I will volunteer to move that project forward. And then also, I think, did Jackie Hobby inform us, speaking of,
Jackie
at
Hoppy?
Wetmore, that there was a resignation from the planning and zoning? Are you aware of that?
There she is, hiding behind the door.
It was in the last meeting.
Yeah, I thought we talked about it at
I am
Wetmore.
unaware
You
of
did.
that.
Okay.
You said,
I was just
at Wetmore, remember?
Yep,
informing them, yeah, you did tell us at Wetmore, could have been in the bathroom,
no, it was public, I.
but yeah, we did have
Checking
a
out the
resignation
urinal
on
that's
planning
not
and
there.
zoning. I
Chris
think
Nordyke.
it's public record, right? Chris Nordyke resigned.
Oh, I
Yes, it
apologize.
is.
I apologize. Yes,
was
I
brought
did.
up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I think you were laughing
I was
at me.
I was thinking we were saying someone resigned from the planning and zoning office.
Oh, okay,
That's why I'm going,
Commission.
no, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm aware that
okay.
Mr. Nordyke is moving to Kansas, I believe. Is that what I heard?
He's got too much work, he said.
Oh, okay. never
But
mind.
anyway,
Whatever.
I thought we talked about it.
We
but-
did.
okay.
I was thinking you were talking about an employee. I apologize.
Okay.
We'll move on then, public comment.
Before you do that, just
Yes, sir.
following up on your last comment, we've talked about the strategic plan. We've got that out there. I'd like to execute that contract. So I'm gonna sign it. So,
I blew right by it.
yeah, that's
didn't I?
okay.
I am
It-
sorry.
It's all right.
So let's go
So-
back, I was hoping somebody,
We've already agreed that we're gonna bring back and make decisions on who's gonna be on the board and all that, and our timing. We've got the contract that shows the new timeline. The
Yes.
content's the same. I just wanna, she has to be on contract in order, she's gonna do things that are gratis and a part of the contract anyway, ahead of time. But DOLA needs to have a signed contract in place. So that's the
Right,
issue.
and I
I just wanna
apologize.
sign the contract and get it out the door.
I just glazed right over. We have the contract here.
I think that's just a formality.
Yeah, it's a formality, we've already agreed to
Right.
do it.
So,
They
do
only-
we even need a motion to do it?
Yeah,
No,
I think we do,
I wanna
because
ask
we have
him,
a
that's
change.
what, we had a change, that's
Yeah.
right, we changed the
Yeah.
timeline.
So the back 2 pages have been changed, so I think in that, light of that, not the back 2.
The
I
con-
move we approve the SB contract with the amended timeline and authorize the chairperson to go ahead and sign it.
I'll second the motion. Been moved and seconded to sign the contract with S Brand out of Fort Collins. Discussion. I find it interesting the timeline was actually stapled into the back of the contract and not inclusive of the contract, but I know the
It's all
intent was there. So
addendum to it.
it's only issue I had. Other discussion about that? Public comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of signing the S Brand contract for the strategic planning consulting work, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, pose nay. Motion carries. I will
Okay, let's sign it today, and I'll
It's
send her a copy.
it's retroactive to September 24, but actually there's not a date line on the signature contract, so.
Can I ask Jackie a question?
You may. Do we need a copy of this?
I need a copy and,
Miss Brenda?
Welcome.
Yes.
Can we anticipate planning and zoning to bring forth a recommendation to fulfill Mr. Nordike's vacancy?
Yes, they usually go by the associate members first.
Yeah, I
So-
remember you telling us that.
The next one in line that's the longest associate member serving would be Mike Shields. So the planning commission would offer it to Mike Shields, and then if he turns it down, we would offer it to the next one. And then, usually, the recommendation is made formally in a BOCC meeting that we'd like to replace.
So it is by tenure who
Yes.
gets offered first, the
Because we
longest
don't want
serving?
you always to be a bridesmaid.
So the longest serving person would be offered the opportunity first.
Correct.
It's
That's
not if they're one or more than one. You wouldn't say if there's 4 of you
If
that are
there's a
interested.
four-way split,
If all 4 of the associate members had served the same amount, then
Gotcha.
we would,
Draw
if
a-
they all 4 wanted it, we'd draw a name.
Okay, but as it is right now, the longest serving associate member is entitled to that position first.
Yes.
Thank you for that point of clarification. Appreciate it. Okay,
And then Tuesday, you do know that we have a planning commission
Yes.
meeting.
1:30?
Yes.
This Tuesday?
You got the packet?
No. Not like it. That's the second, right?
And the packet was sent prior to the Wetmore meeting. Has San Isabel
Two
propane
items of
and the
business.
glamping.
1:30?
Love it. Mr. Byerly, public comment?
Yes, sir. I have a couple things.
Okay. Items of business or public comment in general?
Well, just to let you guys know, let the board know. So, just so you're aware, we completed our new 911 system install yesterday. It's all running perfectly fine. It was relatively trouble-free in the transition over. So we have the new 911 system and the new internal phone system for the office over there. That was all paid for by E911, of course, so no direct cost to the county general fund on that. Secondly, just to let you know, as you may or may not be aware, so the budget for this year, I was approved to purchase a new transport van at a cost of about $36,000. I was able to work with the sheriff from Eagle County, Jim Van Beek over there. They were actually getting rid of a few transport vans and replacing them. And so I kind of brokered yesterday. We're gonna, instead of buying a brand new transport van, we're gonna buy an already outfitted, fully outfitted 2014 Chevy van. It's got 118,000 miles on it, but it's
there's no dirt roads that they use the transport van on in Eagle County, so it's all highway miles, and,
How many miles?
It has 118,000 on it, but, looks like we'll be able to get that for, we're not 100% sure on the price, but it's gonna be right at about $6,000, so that'll be about a $30,000 savings to the budget. So, the hope is, I haven't seen the van in person, but it looks like so we'll be able to pull our radio head out of one of our other vehicles, basically plug it into this van, and we won't have to do anything else to it, and it'll be up and running for us 100%. There is one caveat in it. They've had a little bit, or they've had a report from a couple drivers that going up Vale Pass that it might have, it might be emitting a little bit of smoke, which they think is tied to a head gasket. But they're going to have that inspected by their maintenance folks prior to us purchasing it. But even if it is, our shops can do the head gasket repair. It's still gonna be a considerable savings, so I think the van's in very good condition.
2014.
It's a Chevy, I can't remember the model, but it's built for
How many people?
transports.
How big?
E350 probably.
How many?
Yeah, it's not an E350, but it's,
Transport how many?
oh, you could do 8 at one time. We don't ever have a need for that. And
Good.
the one caveat,
Got a big
it's
box
all-wheel
on it.
drive, which we were not expecting. So that'll be big. That'll make a big positive impact. So, pretty good savings there. Just want to let you know, I've already talked to Ms. Hobby. We can just vouch it out because that capital improvement was approved, and we won't have a big expenditure. So,
Perfect.
That's
Thank you.
good.
What are you gonna do with your old van?
so we're actually going to hold on to it because, well, the plan was anyways prior to yesterday, because we did not think the new van was going to be all-wheel drive, and because rumor has it in the next 8 years or so we should get at least one snowstorm. We would need all-wheel drive. So
Is it an all-wheel drive?
we'll figure that out now after the fact, Clint. But the plan immediately was to hold on to it, especially use it around here close and put those miles on that.
How many miles are on it?
130 roughly.
Roughly the same.
Yeah, 120.
Rougher miles,
But it's a
right.
2001. It's 13 years older, and it shows the wear and tear of sitting in the sun for 20 years. So.
Good. All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Further public comment?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
As public, not airport board, the county is in possession of excess equipment. Specifically, when the Say-Weather system was installed at the airport, a new and updated weather reporting system came with it, and that was at no extra charge also. The company threw that in because they liked us, I guess. Anyway, we have the old weather system that is not specifically compatible with the Say-Weather system. It does operate, and I would put in a request to be able to buy that system from the county.
For who? A private individual or yourself or?
Myself, yes.
Yeah.
No,
What's the value of it?
new value of that system is $325. It's almost 20 years old, so I'm sure it was fully amortized. I would offer $50 for that system.
I think we'd have to.
Would you have
offer
to
it
put
the
it on
public.
a bid,
Yeah.
put it out to the public, just say, hey, here's a,
I mean, that's the kind of stuff we do maybe
Right.
once a year or so when we have a lot of.
If you would be willing to do the legwork and come up with the inventory description and all that for us so that we could publicly put it out for sale,
Okay.
then we would do that, take in seal bids and move forward.
I can do that.
Do we have a public auction scheduled this year for anything?
you know, auction it all.
Road and Bridge usually puts that together.
Yeah.
You know about the county?
The
Yeah,
county
I've
does
not-
an auction of
Yeah.
property generally.
Probably the best place to put it.
I've not heard, but I think the commission would consider posting that, accept sealed bids for that equipment. if you don't mind doing the legwork.
Yeah, I
Okay,
I
thank
can
you.
write that up.
Good.
for you.
Well, now I know what your bid is, I'll bid.
Yeah, well, that's,
$51 here.
I was thinking you'd go into the auction mode here.
oh yeah,
Right
no,
here.
not going into the
Hey,
auction
you're a
road.
good
that's-
auctioneer, go for it.
Oh, gosh. Further public comment?
I like to bid $51.
Yeah, you don't even know what you're bidding on. So, we're gonna move into executive session. We will take a recess for about 5 minutes. Hopefully, we can keep it to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then when we reconvene, we will move into executive session. Yeah, we'll reconvene the Board of County Commissioners meeting. I would move that the BOCC move into executive session to obtain legal advice under Colorado Revised Statute Section 24-6-402, sub 4, sub B.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to move into executive session pertaining, for the purpose of legal advice. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Not debatable, so aye. Opposed nay. Motion carries. So we will close that door. Okay, the time is now 11:52, September 28th, 2018, and the executive session has been concluded, and we have returned to the open BOCC meeting. Gentlemen, anything to come before the board? I'm sorry, Commissioner or Councilor Smith, would you care to comment on our executive session?
Yes, the executive session was for the purpose of discussing a legal issue and getting legal advice. We stayed on topic. It was starting to stray, and Commissioner Prince pointed that out, so we just continued what we were discussing that wasn't specifically for legal advice. So I'm satisfied that all statutory requirements have been met.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Commissioners, any further items to come before the board?
Not for me, sir.
We've gone by the public comment period, so the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
It's been moved. I'll second the motion.
I'm just curious what happened.
Now why don't you
This
grab his
is the-
hammer
this
and
is
hit
the
it?
comment for this
Yeah.
right now, okay?
Okay.
So what happens if you don't agree to adjourn?
Then
You
we
get to stay.
Okay.
And
Until you eat your broccoli, you have to stay at the table.
believe it or not, the motion to adjourn doesn't even require a
Doesn't
second.
require.
That's what I thought. I didn't even know.
I just get in that habit.
Okay, that's fine.
And a motion or a meeting certainly can be adjourned by the chair without a motion.
That's what I thought too.
But according to parliamentary law, the chair should ask if hearing no objections, sorry, I lost that word, hearing no objections, or if there are no objections from the fellow commissioners, then the meeting is adjourned. He has that ability to do that, so, meeting adjourned.
Good job.
How's that?
Wait.